Tonight, NXT gets some tag team love. We got the War Raiders. We got the Street Profits. Even the Undisputed Era makes an appearance. Stay tuned. The NXT After Show starts right now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
There it is.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matt Glish. I need Jim's hips for this one. Swaying back and left and right.
As the older I get, they coming up on the 28th birthday.
Thank you so much for tuning into the NXT After Show. I am Flobo Boyce, Flobito, here for Evan T. Mack, who's on assignment. Jim Alexander is also on assignment, so you're stuck with me. And these two professionals, these two elites. To my left, we have my favorites from the greatest city in the world, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Tiki Trinidad, how you doing?
You really just said you miss Jim's hips?
I do. He was swaying back to side on Monday. It was all off beat. Beat was this way, his hips were that way. It was crazy. You know, Heel Jim. Shout out to Heel Jim out there. See you on Monday. Evan T. Mack was here as a GOAT on Monday Night Raw. If you have not seen that, those two are elite.
Oh, Bobito, that was something. Y'all in the chat or whoever's listening to this, please cut that part where he says he misses Jim's hips.
Now you made it weird.
And please post it on Twitter and tag us all because that was hilarious.
Yeah,
and the music in the background, yes. Okay, please do that.
Though?
Yes, I am fabulous.
And to our left, we have our resident indie professional, Anissa Bar. How you doing?
I'm good.
Just good?
Yeah, I mean, I was sick last week, and then finally I'm not sick anymore.
The burn desire, rebel heart.
Wait,
Yeah.
are you like, is there carryover though? Do I need to be sitting on the couch?
No.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. You just decided to
making
cardio.
sure.
No, just after the NXT show, I felt so sick. I don't know what happened.
What?
I had to go to Target and buy medicine and stuff.
Last week's episode, you're just not feeling it.
Oh,
What
the
about-
Jim's sick this week.
Is it NXT curse going around? It's like
Maybe.
Maybe
a
it's an
patient zero.
AfterBuzz thing, because
What? The AfterBuzz flu? Don't
Y'all
tell
ain't gonna
anybody.
get me sick.
Yeah. The Cure is giving us 5 stars on iTunes. So, overall impressions of today's episode, NXT? What do you guys think?
good show. Long matches, but good show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, based off of like the shakeup and moving people up and moving big stars up from NXT, that it wasn't gonna be as entertaining. But I forgot that they have a whole bunch of people in the locker room that we haven't seen. They're obviously been working that we just haven't seen on TV. So I think this is definitely an opportunity to bring out some names that we haven't seen and build them up. So good show.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's definitely clear that NXT is in a rebuilding phase after the superstar shakeup. Some guys going up, and some ladies too. We're now getting more and more screen time for superstars. I kind of forgot we're there on the roster. Taking it from the top, the first match of the evening was the Forgotten Sons Jackson Riker taking on Humberto Carrillo. Now, those two guys can go in the ring. They're very, very talented. But the question I have for you, but we're talking about the changing of the rosters, is the Forgotten Sons are kind of there. They haven't had a chance to break out yet. And Humberto Carrillo may have the tools, but then something is missing. Agree, disagree, thoughts?
Well, I think within the past few weeks, they've been really, someone in the back, could be Triple H, could be somebody else, really wants the Forgotten Sons to be probably the face of tag team division. That's what I feel like that's happening with them, because we're seeing them on every single week.
Yeah.
For the since the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Yeah.
So, with that, but with this team, what I would like for them to maybe have is this, maybe have the same entrance but different styles, like Insanity, how they all kind of have the same entrance, but it sounded differently, but still the same entrance. How like Nikki Cross's entrance is still kind of the same as Sanity's.
I loved hers, yeah.
I would like to have them, so we know, okay, who is coming out instead of all of them coming out and then we find out. And shout out to the ring announcer. I thought she did really good.
Yeah,
she looks. I'm assuming she's new, but she sounded pretty great.
Is it the blonde chick? I missed that part.
No, she.
Oh, the black chick.
Yeah.
She's wearing a
the
flowy
drummer.
dress.
Yeah.
She's been she got signed last year.
Okay.
I'll get her name. I know she is. I follow her on Instagram.
Okay. Well, shout out to her. She's been, I thought she did really, really well, especially saying the names, especially for her I'm
Humberto.
I'm the whitest.
Humberto.
I'm the whitest Mexican you'll ever meet. So
So I gotta ask you the question that, we're talking about the Dusty Classic. Do you think it was a mistake for them not going to the finals?
No.
Absolutely not.
Because I think that these guys are not ready yet to be, tag team champion or to face the tag team champions.
Sure.
But I think that these guys.
Alicia Taylor, thanks. I know Bosa. I don't even know why I bother look on my phone. Sorry, Anissa.
No, it's okay.
I don't know why I bother look on my phone because I know Bosa's gonna come through with the knowledge. Thank you, Alicia Taylor. She had her own show.
Connections.
Yeah, for
Shout out
real.
to her.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Bosa.
But I think that maybe by SummerSlam they'll get that opportunity.
No, for sure. DK, let me ask you, of Humberto Carrillo, you see him a couple weeks, a couple episodes. He's fast and athletic. There's something not quite there, at least from my opinion, about him. What do you think is missing, and what do you think he needs?
Well, I think NXT, because remember, well, no, you wouldn't remember because you weren't doing the show with us. However, if you listen to the show, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how NXT at one point felt like it was moving from developmental, and it was just a good show on its own. And I think now they've taken a lot of the wrestlers who were there onto the main roster, and now it's back to being developmental. So now you get to work out these kinks. So I think with Humberto, it's one of those things where it's more the connection, character, storyline build that he's working on. So it's not quite there, but this is what NXT was originally meant for.
Because I believe he did a few episodes of 205 Live.
Yeah, he did.
So.
Or he is? I don't know.
Is he still on it? I don't know.
Yeah, somebody said Dan GMQ said that he saw him on 205, I believe it was.
Yeah, I saw him a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure if it's a hard roster assignment or kind of he floats between. A lot of things at times it reminds me of Andrade, like ethnicity aside, of how this person came in with a character with a little hat and little suspenders, and he had all the tools, but it didn't quite work out. But they put him with Zelina, made him a lot more I understand I'm a luchador, but I'm going in this harsh direction. Maybe that's something he may need.
And they took his mask away, which is kind of not cool in lucha
culture.
Sure. That's not cool. And I know a lot of people online, when Rey Mysterio takes pictures with his family, he's covering his face, and a lot of people are like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? You don't understand why you're doing he does that. It's part of his culture. It's been like that since day one. So in a way, I kind of wish they kept him having the mask, Andreas, even though we're not, this is not, he's not on the NXT, but, it'd be nice for him to, have the mask and then maybe have a mask versus mask with Rey Mysterio.
That would make sense. The only problem is when you introduce cultural things, I don't think WWE does a huge service in explaining it. Even you don't even have to explain it on the show. And correct me again, Bosa or whoever else, on the network, even if they go behind the scenes as far as cultural relevance with the luchadors and how throughout the times through WWE, how that's impacted, or even these stories. I did see a commercial, I think it was for the Performance Center. Even those stories I'd be interested in, because even though it might not be the official story for that particular person, now you're going to get an understanding why they're there, and that might make you invest into that person more. Right. So for instance, Bianca Belair, I'm so invested into her because she ran track, she did CrossFit. I want to see her win because of the similarities. Yeah. So, I think they should definitely look into that if it's not already on the network.
I feel like that's all can only help your talent, having the extra content. You can argue about why is that the case of having a second screen, but we're all doing multiple screens now anyway. So the match ends in DQ. Burch and Lorcan interfere, setting up a feud between the Forgotten Sons and Burch and Lorcan. Now, is that something we want to see, or is that something you think is a little premature, or what's your thoughts on that?
I think that they're just doing that for the time being, so they can figure out who they might be facing in the future. Without a doubt, these guys are definitely going to go to NXT SummerSlam for sure. But I think that they're testing out each individual to see what they can do on NXT TV program.
Oh, fair enough. TK.
I second that.
Before we get to our next matchup, I think TK, you have something you want to tell our lovely fans out there?
So here's the deal, folks.
Yo!
As you know, you don't know, this is AfterBuzz TV on wrestling. We're the ESPN of TV talk, and we want to continue and grow and become the best of the best, even though we are the best, but you make us the best, you know what I'm saying. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube if you're not subscribed to YouTube, AfterBuzz Sports and Wrestling. Also subscribe to our other shows. We have reality shows, we have drama, etc. On iTunes, give us 5 stars or better, and definitely leave a comment. We read all the comments. Well, some faction of us reads all the comments. So, between the 3, 4, 5 of us, we get to the comments. We definitely appreciate those comments because those are what makes us better and makes us grow, and also tidbits of information. So shout out to Bosa in the chat. Always in the chat, the GM of AfterBuzz Wrestling. He lets us know what's going down. I definitely appreciate it. We also have, I think, Star Drew's there. I saw a couple other folks. External Shockwave. Haywood Wong. I know he's always there in the tweets and all that good stuff. So shout out to all those people. And thank you for making us the AfterBuzz or the ESPN of TV Talk. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah, good song. And also, you can support us in the chat by hitting that super chat function right there on YouTube. Next match we have was Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne taking on Candice LeRae and Casey Catanzaro. Is that how you pronounce it?
Catanzaro, yeah.
Catanzaro. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I have a lot of thoughts myself. I want to start here. I do think, Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne haven't really won a match, from far as I can remember, over almost a year, it seems, on TV, it seems. And I think Candice LeRae is an amazing talent. Maybe pairing her with Casey may be a little odd for me because she's been there behind the scenes. She was in the storyline, but she hadn't wrestled.
Who, Candice?
Candice. She was in the whole Johnny Gargano Ciampa thing, but she didn't really wrestle. She was kind of like the wife. So to me, it was kind of peculiar seeing her in a tag team, but the match itself was great. So what do you think about that, TK?
Well, it goes back to everything else. It's almost like a reset.
Sure.
So, you saw Candice LeRae being, the wife, and now I think they're finally giving her a platform and her own individuality. And you might not be used to seeing her with Kat, but that might be a partnership in the long term, or it might not. You know how they throw things together and then, it falls apart. And then for Vanessa and Aaliyah, I'm just confused. I'm confused. Or maybe somebody else is confused as far as what to do with them. Because Aaliyah's been there for quite some time. And it sometimes comes off that, she just got there, but she's been signed, I think, maybe about 7 years or no. Well, Dan GMQ said Aaliyah's been there since Liv Morgan's been there.
Wow. That's a lot.
So that says a lot. So is that, they can't find a particular character with her? Is she not developing? What's setting her apart? So I like her overall look, but it's just something that I think if she were to ever go to the main roster at this moment in time, they wouldn't care for her.
Oh, sorry, I was very invested in her
I know,
conversation.
Right? Yeah,
what she was saying.
Thank you.
No, I do have to agree with what TK's saying about Aaliyah. She's been there for a very long time. She's been trying to figure out. I feel like they've been trying to figure out who she is, her character. I'm glad that they're not putting her as her culture as a character, because she is Indian and she's from Canada. So, but I like how that she's letting her do her own thing. I mean, she's been there since she was 19. I don't even know how she is now, but she's probably in her early 20s. I enjoyed this match. I'm very glad they showed Casey. Casey was in the Mayon Classic. We saw little bits of her there, and her teaming with Candice, I think, is very perfect because Casey's more the acrobatic type, where Candice is very tougher.
Sure.
And I liked the springboard, what Candice did on the ropes. That was classic Candice. And with Casey, I think I like these two as a tag team. Very fun to watch, but I'd like to see Casey more. So, we get to see more of her. I know there's so many women on the main roster, but, Casey, to me, I don't know, she's different. And I like her style in the ring. I like how she uses her. One thing I don't like, her entrance thing. It reminds me of American Ninja Warrior, and I know that's where I found her from. Yeah, but it'd be nice to maybe, not brand her as, she's the, American Ninja Warrior girl, Well,
I mean, that also makes her stand out and also brings the American Ninja Warrior folks to watch the show. So, I agree with you in that part. I kind of leading to, put this on the shelf. This is what you were. It's like all the NFL players and former athletes who come to wrestling. It's like, okay, this is what you were, but you're not doing that anymore. This is what you're doing. So I agree with that. But then also on a media standpoint, connecting that and the fact that she won and her size, plays a huge amount to that. So, you know, I think it's gonna work for her, and I think this is her debut. We're gonna see her. Yeah. We're gonna, fortunately or unfortunately, we're gonna definitely see her way more than Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah for some reason. Yeah. So not good for them, but good for her.
Maybe I'm just a hater. I hate their athletic moves. I hate their perfect white teeth. I'm just kidding. I was just kidding about Casey and Candice. That was a good match.
Like,
I thought the same thing. Yeah. Like a while ago, I was like, I even tweeted, I was like, I didn't like Casey at first, but something, you know, her being in the ring, very, very is entertaining, and I like her now. She tweeted back to me and was like, thank you. I really want to make the wrestling NXT universe proud, even though I'm not.
Oh, that changes everything. I want to buy her merch now.
I was like, okay, I'm going to buy, you know, get some merch out now. I'm going to buy it.
Just real quick about Aaliyah. I know you talked about her character and all that. It's very similar to Ginny's in NXT UK, that fashionista kind of high life. Do you think that her and Vanessa Bourne are going to be a tag team for an extended period of time? Or just something to give them something to do?
It seemed like she was kind of doing almost like that Kardashian type thing, which is fine. But what would have made it work, because, you know, we all know all the Kardashians now, is they almost created, I believe it was like Dollhouse and Impact, almost like a faction of fashionistas who also happen to be badasses, because her by herself is one of those things. And I know I've been like talking about factions a lot, but it's just like you get invested to the group.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's plenty of women in the locker room that could fit that. You know, so if you partner her and Vanessa Bourne together, then make it a partnership, not a one-time, oh, well, you know, okay, you two get out here and you know, battle. So.
That'd be really cool if they made like a Kardashian wrestling group in a way, because with Impact, TNA, when Jersey Shore was popular, they had a girl become, her name was Cookie.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then they had, you know, Johnny, what's his name? Ronnie from Jersey Shore, come on Impact, and, you know, JWoww. So with the Kardashian people, I think that would be really cool to pretty much have an establishment kind of like that in the wrestling world, even though a lot of people probably don't like the Kardashians, but at the same time, you know, without a doubt, and they, you know, they're the most popular people in the world. So, you know, mixing that with wrestling, with NXT, I think would be really cool. I mean,
you want that? I mean, Aaliyah's kind of almost the perfect person to hate. Like you love to hate. It's like, okay, if you paint her as she's the one with the money, and also she's winning the matches, and also she's pretty, and also she's like, it's like, oh my God, you have everything. I hate you. Sure. But now you have a reason for me to hate you, not just because, you know, you're not getting enough airtime.
Yeah, and I think if they bring Ginny over to NXT, you know, I know she's in the UK, but if they bring Ginny over, it'd be perfect. Her, Vanessa Bourne, and, you know, Aaliyah, bring them on over.
And I think Candice LeRae was with Dakota Kai at one point, not with her, but I think she might have had a match with Dakota Kai. Like, I think we had mentioned this last week or the week before. It's like there's so much wrestling out there, especially if you just consider WWE. Agreed. It's one of those things, like some of the girls who were in NXT that are in NXT UK, like I want to see them on NXT. Like to me, it's like, well, why can't you do both once in a while, or at least do promos where it's a crossover? So now you want to see it.
Yeah, because Cassius Ohno, we saw him today, and
yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But I think they're trying to do it with the whole Worlds Collide thing, right? The random series of things. But speaking of colliding worlds, we have the War Raiders, which were billed as the War Raiders tonight, even though the main roster, I know it's a taped episode, but the main roster, they're the Viking Raiders now, taking on the Street Profits in a non-title contest. Fantastic start. Montez Ford going off with the splash. Totally not giving an F. Love the idea. But ultimately, this result wasn't in doubt. Overall thoughts on the match this time, Anissa, what do you thought?
Thought it was great. Figure out who you're going to call them, because that's just, I get it.
Yeah.
On the main roster, I get it, because politics or whatever. But that's not going to stop the fans to call, chant war.
Right.
That's not going to, so... I don't know what
I think they just still want to encourage it. I mean, the fans still chant CM Punk.
Well, I mean,
again, I think they already taped the episode, but it kind of is weird if I'm a super fan and I watch Monday and they're one team, and on Wednesday another team with the belts,
and it's going to confuse a lot of people, especially the people who don't really watch NXT.
Right.
So
yeah, but then the people who don't watch NXT won't even know it's going on, because it's like you just said. If you're a super fan, exactly. If you're a super fan, you have the network.
Right.
If you're not, then you watch SmackDown and you watch Raw.
Sure.
Even you might even just watch Raw.
Or once or twice a month.
Yeah. So it's like you might watch one or the other. You might not be watching both shows. So even if they do come on, you're not even, because I remember when I think it was like no, it was before that. They had a call up and everybody was like, oh my gosh. And some people were like, had no idea. So you have a huge portion of the population that doesn't watch NXT. So with the changeover in the belts, it doesn't really affect them. It might affect wrestling fans, but that's what makes great conversation. And we're all on social media, and you can complain to Vince, but Vince doesn't care. So it's one of those things where, no matter what, if you're tweeting WWE about something that's happening on NXT and or the main roster, it's good either way.
Vince doesn't care.
Yeah. All right. On to the next.
Right. So I agree, because I went to the Royal Rumble this year in Phoenix, and I was in a group of casual fans. And when Gargano made his appearance in Rumble, I think me and my buddy went nuts, but everyone else was like, who's that guy over there with the mustache or the beard or whatnot? So the match itself, though, I mean, it was pretty solid. I mean, I love the psychology, if I can say that, for Street Profits. Evan doesn't like the team. I do. I love the Street Profits, but ultimately they did
Very
not.
harsh.
I know. It was kind of harsh on them. But it definitely wasn't in their favor. Now, if you're the Street Profits, is there a lot to gain with this loss? Or is it a sign that the tag team divisions... Because the War Raiders are going to have to drop the belts to somebody. And I'm not sure who that is.
Are they officially on the main roster?
I think so, yeah. They were assigned to Raw. They have the Raw graphic when the Viking Raiders are. I don't know if it's a split thing or if it's going to be seen as both, because on Raw, they don't come with the belts and they're the Viking Raiders. But on NXT, they're still the War Raiders, and they have the belts, and they won, and they're still champions.
Right.
So I don't know what that is. But do you think anyone's in line?
With the Street Profits, I was talking about this today on Compadres, so definitely check out that show. I think it's live. I don't know. Anyways, I feel like with the Street Profits, same thing. They're missing. There's like this element that they're missing, because I want to root for them, and I think one of the elements might be adding Bianca Belair to the mix.
Do you think she should manage them?
I don't know. See, the thing is...
Or kind of like what Naomi did with the Usos.
Kind of like that, because I don't want her to get lost in the valet thing, because she's a talented individual, and I feel like if she gets lost in the valet thing, then that's going to stunt her from growing as a wrestler.
Right.
But I feel like if they have where she has a match, and they're there, and they're causing chaos, I could work with that. Or if they have a match and she's back there and she's causing the tag team of that versus her just always walking them out, I think that might add to something.
So kind of like Team Extreme with the Hardys and Lita, they were still were a tag team, but she still wrestled.
I'll buy that. First, I was like, I don't know, Naomi, but yeah, definitely Team Extreme. I totally get that.
Yeah, it's just like they're just missing something, and I don't know what it is. Like their gimmick, I like. The wrestling abilities, I like. They've also been there for a while, but it's like they're just missing some element, and once they figure out that element, they're like main roster ready.
Okay.
I think when we get closer to SummerSlam, that's when we'll know who they're going to be facing. I think it's just too soon, because we are in spring. We're not in summer yet.
Yeah.
We're almost there. But
And we're also doing the build-up after WrestleMania, too. It's going to take a
Down
little
period,
time.
all around, across the board. Sure.
I wouldn't say down period, more like a... NXT is a little bit different. I was thinking of Bray Wyatt, where we're a totally different show. But it's just like just doing the slow build-up.
Yeah. Because I will say that even though it seemed far enough away on paper that, again, we're going to the main roster stuff, that Money in the Bank itself is being built up over some time, and maybe that's the same thing for NXT.
Hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. I want to say Hansen's handspring was amazing. That alone, that guy should not be as agile as he is. But before we get to the main event, I just want to do some quick hits. So Kushida has his first match next week against Cassius Ono. Cassius Ono.
Okay.
International enhancement. What do you guys think about the fact that Chris Hero is going from NXT to UK to back, being that first guy?
I think it's really good for him, because he is a veteran in wrestling, period. I think it's something for him to do, especially him not active on NXT show. Maybe he's, out there, maybe... I know he had a match.
Isn't he kind of a trainer too? Like part
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Is he?
Yeah. I think
So, but also, he is, he has wrestled for the, in the UK for NXT. So I think it's pretty cool. And I think, I don't know. I don't know how I really feel about them two wrestling. Maybe it'll be a good match, but it'll be very interesting to watch.
I have a question about Ono. With Cesaro being traded to Raw, wouldn't him being called to the main roster be something that'd be worth watching? Kings of Wrestling in 19, or is that too far gone? Is that considered pissing the boat? I'm asking you with your indie experience and you with your experience watching them.
I feel like when he was on, because he did X-Pac show. Yeah, did he do X-Pac show?
Cassius Ono?
Maybe not.
360?
Yeah, but I don't know. Now I've watched so many interviews and I can't even remember. But it feels like with him in particular. Actually, he didn't do X-Pac show. I was listening to a conversation. I was there, and he was talking to somebody else and was listening to conversation. So this is totally hearsay. However, it feels like because he's such an intricate part of NXT as far as development, it's like. As far as going to the main roster, that's not his.
Fair enough.
That's not his lane because he also trains them. So I think it seems like for him, he's in a trainer and athlete role, like a coach athlete role. And his goal is like, okay, I've been there, done that. I've been in the game long enough. I really just want to help develop and also get in the ring once in a while. That's what it seems like. And,
Sure.
The main roster is not a thing for him.
Right. I mean, like I said last week, I was saying how I hoped that they bring more people from the main roster back to NXT like they did a few years ago. I would like to see Cassius Ohno and Cesaro wrestle face to each other. They were a tag team back in the day in Ring of Honor, a very, very popular tag team at the time. And it would be nice to see them two maybe go at it one more time.
Sure.
Instead of being a tag team, just them two go face it. Because, it's been a long time since them two, been in the same ring together.
That is definitely true. So thoughts on Kushida next week? I know he's a superstar signing.
I'm excited. I'm excited for everyone to tune in. He has the Fast and the Fury, entrance. That's his thing, and it's always been like that for a very long time. I just, hope he stays down in NXT and they treat him right because, during our conversations with NXT in the past, especially last week, we were very into on how WWE treats the Asian community a different way. So, especially on the main roster. So, I hope that they treat him really well.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't get lost in the sauce.
That does happen.
Yeah, you get there and it's just kind of like, that's where the networking and luck and all this other stuff, because you can be a great wrestler, but if all the other factors don't come in, you might be stuck in NXT. You might not make it through NXT. You might get pushed up to the main roster too early. Like, there's so many different factors, a lot of them not up to your choosing.
Right.
So, yeah, we will definitely see with that, because you don't even have to be... You could just be any wrestler, and that happens too. Definitely, I see what's happening with Asian wrestlers. I see that happening with Black wrestlers. Just anything beyond
Yeah, we had like that big old conversation last week about
the BMP and all this other stuff. So, but I think no matter who you are, if you don't get the right the right character, the right how you push it, how they're writing the storyline. If the audience is feeling you that at that moment, because it depends too. It could be a really great storyline, and then somebody might feel it 5 years down. It's like, oh, do you remember that? But everybody thought it sucked.
Right.
So it's just a combination of a lot of different things and the luck of the draw.
Yeah, speaking of luck of the draw, we have Io Shirai getting attacked by Shayna Baszler and Dugan Shafir. They don't have a name, I think, collectively, but definitely running roughshod on the women's roster here at NXT. Later in the episode, Mia Yim being the one to stand up to say, hey, look, Shayna's went through everyone, even a little pot shot on Bianca right there, saying she says she's undefeated, but she was defeated twice.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it's a mind state. Undefeated. So Mia Yim, do you put the jet back on her back? Do you think she's the one to be the face of the resistance against Shayna Baszler?
I think that they're focusing on Io right now. That's what it looks like. Maybe in the next coming weeks, they'll probably have Mia and Io tag team against Jessica and Marina. But as of right now, I feel like they're building Io and Shayna. Even though it's a slow build, I feel like that's what they're building to for SummerSlam. But anything can happen. Injury, something, what I mean, knock on glass, but
Well, that's the whole thing with Kairi saying, like, I like the fact that they brought her up, but it feels like and this is, I don't know, I don't think this sounds racist, but it just seems like because Kairi and Io are really good friends, and it's just like, if you brought them together, then you can create a storyline. Like a us versus them storyline. Okay, like you can almost play on, okay, well, Asuka was undefeated and then they did her like this. You could play it that way and then create something with that. So the fact that they just kind of left her down there by herself, and I understand why, because you still need names in the roster. it's like you should have kept Kyrie there a little bit longer to do something like that. Because I think if, for instance, Bianca doesn't go with the Street Profits, her and Mia Yim would have been a good tie together. But, they kind of destroyed that and made them enemies.
Right.
So I feel like they could have done that and created some type of faction as far as taking down Shayna. But Shayna's not going to get taken down
for a long time.
For a while, pretty much until she gets called up.
Sure.
She's solid in everything.
Yeah, the future diva, I guess, because there's no ounce of diva in her. She's totally just a straight brawler, bruiser.
Well, it's just, her story, how she came about everything. Like, she came from the UFC. She did okay there. She put in hard work even before she got into the Performance Center. She's been putting work as far as wrestling, and now you see. Either she's been working on her mic skills or acting lessons or whatever. Like, you see it all developing, that you're invested. You either hate her or you love her, one of the two, but there's some type of emotion. The last thing you want to be for somebody is lukewarm.
Right.
So she has it. She has it all together. I think she's the only one that has it, because Bianca's almost there, but it's just, she's like one or two dimensional. She has to add a couple more dimensions to her character. So it's like a lot of the girls are kind of building on that, which is good, but Shayna has it. So she's gonna hold on to the belt for a while. And I think they're gonna hold her down there. I hope they do, until Ronda comes back.
Oh, okay.
So that might be in a year, or that might be in 6 months, depending if Ronda gets knocked up.
Well, speaking of interesting developments, it's now time for my favorite segment of the show. It's now time for TK's Boudoir. Why are you grinning?
I thought you were going to shake your hips like Jim.
No, man, I don't have that gym style. I actually dance on beat. I'm just letting you know. I got that soul. TK's Boudoir.
Oh, goodness. So it's going to be a short one today. So definitely one goes to Mia Yim. I think she has it together. Also, Aaliyah, always fashionable. Like, she actually puts... I don't know if you know, Bianca Belair actually sews her outfits.
What?
Yeah.
Skills.
She has a video on YouTube, and she does hers. And I also think she does some of her husband's outfits, too.
That's cool.
And then Aaliyah also... I don't know if she sews it, but she helps design the outfit. So shout out to the to Street Profits and Mia Yim.
Looking all fashionable.
Yeah, for sure.
No sponsor this time? No sponsor?
Oh yeah, shout. Oh yes. This segment is brought to you. Thank you very much.
No problem.
This segment is brought to you by Center Inn. If you want candles, organic, vegan, all natural, you go to centerin.com, or you go to the IG page or Twitter page. We also have body scrubs, brown sugar body scrubs, sea salt body scrubs, and charcoal body scrubs, and cocoa butter. So if you want all that good stuff, you can go to centerin.com.
Which I will after this show. So, our main event, the NXT champion, Johnny Gargano, taking on the Undisputed Era's Roderick Strong. Anissa, I want to start with you, because I know we talked about this.
Wait, is it Anissa or Anissa?
It's Anissa, but it's okay.
Anissa?
It's okay, yeah.
Oh, wow. This is kind of awkward.
I want to make sure I haven't called your name wrong the last year and a half.
40 minutes in.
Come on, I met you.
Damn.
The first time I met you was at your comedy show.
I'm gonna resign here at a press conference.
No, I just want to make sure I wasn't saying it wrong.
I want to make sure that you were wrong. You were wrong. Okay,
well,
so
you know.
Anissa, so I gotta be honest with you. We were talking about this before in past episodes. I go by Flobo. It's all right. About the differences between Roderick Strong pre-NXT, post NXT, and post Undisputed Era. I would say that this match had vintage Roderick Strong in this one.
Oh, yeah.
In his match against Gargano. What do you thought?
Vintage, both of them. Here's the thing. I like these. I like when Johnny Gargano wrestles his friends. And when I mean friends, I mean, of course, we all know they're friends. But after, we know. Yeah. Come on. And I like that they wrestle people that they wrestled in the past. But for me, when it comes to them wrestling each other, I don't, as much as I want a good match, I want them to use those good matches in special moments, like at NXT TakeOver. Because I like how the crowd gets, at NXT TakeOver, everybody in the arena is on their feet, excited. Full Sail crowd, it's so small. I feel like, they're hyped up, but, I feel like there's a different vibe. But overall, this was a long match for me, but it was, I like the chops. I really like the chops. The kick in the head was so good.
Right.
It's hard for me, they're great.
TK?
Shout out to Barry Mack.
Shout out to Barry Mack looking all fly.
And Heidi Mack.
And Heidi Mack too.
Just gonna add that. Yeah, I felt it was kind of long, but it's one of those things where if I were a wrestling fan, meaning I don't do anything else, and I can I'm going to be all descriptive. If I work a 9 to 5, I don't have to think about it. I leave my job there, and I'm a wrestling fan. I come home, I watch NXT, and I can eat my meal and relax and enjoy it. Then that would be ideal. However, if you're just consuming it in order to talk about it and regurgitate it, it was a little bit too long for me. So if you're going, from those two,
fair enough,
then that's where it's coming. So it's a little bit too long for me. However, the artistry as far as wrestling was definitely there.
Oh, for sure. And now we have a couple storylines going on at once. You had Undisputed Era trying to interfere in the matchup. Matt Riddle comes down, stops that assault. Adam Cole gets confused, super kicks my man Roderick Strong, takes 1, 2, 3. So now you got Matt Riddle in the mix, Undisputed Era ripping apart the seams, and Johnny Gargano on top of this mountain going, ha ha, NXT champ. Where do we go next from here?
Well, first of all, where the hell was Velveteen Dream?
Yeah, he was out there in a photo shoot somewhere. I have no idea.
Looking at himself in the mirror.
Purple boat somewhere chilling out.
I think next week maybe they might do a tag team where it's Riddle and Johnny Gargano versus someone from the Undisputed Era.
Sure. The thing I was not worried about, but I was concerned about Riddle after NXT TakeOver New York was that he'll be out of the NA division maybe the way, even though he lost that match, to move him up some more. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I'm kind of confused of where is it going to be? Are we going to pull in Dream for this guy, or is Riddle going to be like a hired face? He's going to show up and break people up, make things very even. I was a little bit confused there.
I think they're still trying to decide themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Riddle is saying every single day that he wants to retire Brock Lesnar.
Bro.
I know this is not really part of the conversation, but I mean, hey.
I mean,
it's a good point.
It's like I love his character, but I almost want to agree with Jim even though he's not here.
But it's pretty possible. I mean, do you really think that him and Brock Lesnar would ever fight in the UFC? No, because the weight division is different.
Right.
That is true.
But just bringing Matt Riddle to so he has to go through a couple hoops. He has to go through the main roster and then kind of get to a point where he is.
Well, Brock Lesnar is always going to come back with that, all that money that he's going to.
But I just don't know, even if Matt Riddle will get to those steps. Like in theory, it makes sense, but you have to get him over to the main roster. The people, the WWE universe has to either like him or hate him. Like they have to feel something about him, and now he has to get a few storylines under his belt before he even gets to that. And it just seems like I like his character, but main roster wise. I don't know.
You never know.
I agree with you on paper, TK, but one of the greatest promos I've ever heard was when it was Survivor Series and they were setting up Lesnar against Mahal. Mm-hmm. And Paul Heyman basically said, look, Brock Lesnar doesn't even respect you because you're not at my level. Right. And I wanted to see that match, which blew my mind.
Well, Mahal at that time had developed, though.
He had developed, but he wasn't. There were some parts of the WWE universe that didn't feel a way about him. He came out to he had a good entrance, loved the fire entrance, but it wasn't like yay or boo. It was, he feuded with Nakamura and they had Asian jokes. Okay.
Yeah, but he had, I remember that part, but he had the transformation of him overall.
Three-man band.
Looks-wise. The fact that you were disliking him because he wasn't necessarily for the American values, like all that stuff, like his character, especially with outside of wrestling politically, it made sense.
Okay.
With Riddle, it's just kind of like, I don't know because it's almost like, well, it's very West Coast, right? And he might be annoying to the people on the East Coast, but the rest of the world, they might not get it. True. So I just don't know, main roster wise, if it'll work for him. I hope it does. I just don't know. There's just it feels like there's one thing just missing.
So if you were booking Riddle now, would you put him in the NA division or would you put him for the NXT title division? After what you saw tonight.
What was the first question? Would I put him
in the North American title division or the NXT Championship division? Seeing that his development up to now so far.
I think I put him in NXT. I don't know. Maybe less Surfer Boy. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is because he could play up the UFC thing a little bit more.
Sure. Definitely.
But it's just it's either kick up the Surfer Boy stuff way more or do more Uriah Faber from UFC less of it, but you can just tell by the way he looks that he is that.
Okay.
I don't know which direction he should go. That one, like, I don't have any type of
No,
idea for
I
it.
agree with you. I mean, I like he's been like that since he started wrestling.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do like what you said about him maybe going towards the UFC, talking about UFC, like, I came from you, kind of, if you're going to put him as a heel, do that.
Right.
Because that will annoy a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So, but right now, I mean,
yeah, he can almost go like this is, I'm here for the money, this is not real, I'm an actual fighter. Like, he can go that angle and still be cool with it.
Okay.
Like, be on the cool, like this is nothing for me. Like, I'm getting these checks while you guys are at home watching me. Whether you hate me or love me, I'm getting these. Like, it's almost like you have the cool mentality, but it's arrogant West Coast, like, this is whatever.
But right now it's too one-dimensional or too much of a cartoon?
I think it's almost one-dimensional.
One-dimensional. The bro.
Yeah. You could do bro, but bro it with, like, some facts.
Sure.
Like, your facts. Like, your own, like how Bianca does Undefeated, and we all know she's been defeated. It's like your own facts. You can do something like that, but it has to be something, because he doesn't move. Like, I just like him as a character, but if he weren't on NXT anymore, I wouldn't be looking for him.
Fair enough. Absolutely fair. But the other side of this equation with this matchup is Undisputed Era. They've been teasing their internal strife for a long time. Do you keep them together? Do you separate them? Are they going to have a big schmuzz? What do you guys think?
Keep them together. I'm all for factions.
I want them, like I said a few times, I want them separate. I like to see, them just, I want people to see, I want the NXT universe to see what these individual guys can do outside of being a group.
Sure. I think it's time.
I'm making sense.
I think it's absolutely time, but we're actually out of time. So before we get out of here, where can we find you? First of all, Anissa, where can they find you on the internet?
You can follow me on all social media sites at Anissa Bar. If you're in the LA area, come to Bar Wrestling. Moose from Impact is going to be there. David Arquette is making his Bar Wrestling debut in a few weeks. So I'm going to go see David Arquette wrestle. I'm going to go see Moose make his Bar Wrestling, come back, all that fun stuff. I'm going to AEW in Las Vegas. Some stuff just happened today, and I got invited to go, so I'm gonna go, and follow me on social media. Let's continue the conversation.
Shout out to Barry Mack, Evan Matt, and Jim Alexander. You can follow them on social media. If you don't know where to find them, then you're really way behind. However, you can find me on everything at TK Trinidad. If you want candles, body scrubs, all that good stuff, go to Center In. You can check me out on VH1. You can also check me out on Rap TV, Women's Wrestling Weekly. We had a really great show today. And then
Who'd you have today?
Savannah Evans was on. And then next week is going to be a really big person with big news, breaking news on Women's Wrestling Weekly, so make sure to check that out every Wednesday at 4 p.m.
Damn, TK, you don't sleep at all, huh?
Man, I'm trying to.
Of course, Flobo Boyce, at Flobo Boyce on Twitter, at Flobito on Instagram, and Flobito.com. And until next time, buzz you later.
Ciao.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.